The first resolution of Idaho's first state legislature, right after it first became a state in 1890, created the committee that would come up with the first state seal. So the committee created a contest, and it was won by an art student from Stockton, California, who just stopped in Boise and decided, well, this would be a good place to plant herself. Well, Miss Emma Edwards Green's idea, adopted as the state seal in March of 1891, has certainly rooted itself in Idaho history. Still the first and only such seal designed by a woman. And that seal, and another rediscovered piece of history, share something more than the space they now occupy. Here's Joe Paris.
An unveiling transformed a government office wall into a learning exhibit, all centered on a seal.
In Idaho's Constitution, I serve as the keeper of the Great Seal of the state of Idaho. It's one of those obscure roles of the
Secretary of State Phil McGrain is known for elections and business topics, but the job comes with a list of things people don't see, like seals.
Anything the governor signs, I sign, and we affix the seal to. So from executive orders to proclamations, it's a regular part of our job. But one of the cool things today is to really highlight our state seal and its significance in history.
Idaho Seal is unique.
The only state seal that was created by a woman, Emma Edwards Green. And this exhibit is a tribute to her and her work and the details of our seal.
The details of the art tell a story.
Part of our seal is recognizing that the stature of the woman is the same height as the man, and that was intentional when she created her original painting. And so you'll see here a tribute to Emma Edwards Green, a tribute to the spirit of Idaho women. All of it kind of comes together to really just highlight this moment in history. You could see the contrast between the seal we know today and that really everyone is familiar with versus her original work well before Idaho, when we were just getting our beginning. And so one of the things we wanted to highlight was doing a recreation of her original painting that our state seal is based off of, and that really we used for, I think it was almost 75 years before it was redone in the 1950s to the seal we know today.
History was also uncovered on this topic. Becky Funk, president of the North Idaho Federated Republican Women, recently shared this artifact from the collection of Donna Montgomery, a timely addition to the exhibit.
Something that the men during the time of the fight for suffrage would wear as a lapel or a pocket piece, which is really interesting, and I had never heard of that.
Janet Gallimore is executive director and state historic preservation officer at the Idaho State Historical Society.
History, we find history all the time, and what I love about that is that history never stays static. It's not something that you look to the past and just say, okay, well, it was done. There's always new reveals, there's always new information, there's always new technology that allows us to see deeper into history and understand it better. And so it is something that evolves contemporarily with us and is here to provide us context. Look at how beautifully done it is, and it's in gorgeous shape, and it's got so much detail, very reminiscent of that time when women would have been doing a lot of handiwork and sewing and things of that nature. And so pretty big wow that it's still here and it's with us and it's been contributed to the state.
Idaho happens to be the 4th state to recognize women's suffrage, and this was a way that men would show their support by wearing a handkerchief in their pocket that said, "Votes for women."
And the general public is welcome to go into the entryway of the Idaho Secretary of State's office to go take a look at this brand new exhibit. And Brian, I thought you would think this is interesting. So the Secretary of State's office, when Phil McGrain took over, he made up these buttons that have the state seal on them. I'm sure you've seen them. Maybe you even have one. They ordered 1,500 of them, and they were shocked to find out how many people wanted them. They have given out 15,000 over the last few years.
Well, I was going to say, when you were saying people are welcome to go to that office, hope that entryway is a little bit bigger than maybe you might anticipate, because there might be a few people who want to walk through there.
Yeah, it's really neat. It's an official exhibit from the State Historical Society. And by the way, I also found out if you need another reason to go down the Capitol, apparently each executive office has a different little treat. So that's the buttons in the Secretary of State's office. So you got to go find out what they all have. That's a pen from whose office?
And from the AG's office. There you go. Wow. All right, thanks, Joe. Well, the state seal, the essence of Emma Edwards Green design, has adorned official Idaho artifacts since near the beginning, as you heard. While it was the first official state seal, there were actually 2 other seals of Idaho before hers. One designed by a little-known clerk in the Territorial Secretary's office who would also have a short interim stint as governor. The other by a shady wanderer with D.C. connections. Throughout our country's history, when a territory was created, it also spawned a circular seal. You know, like with Kansas, Utah, Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. In 1863, when President Abraham Lincoln signed the Idaho Territory into existence, a design by Silas Cochran was submitted and stood as our symbol for almost 3 years. That is, until Idaho's territorial governor at the time, Caleb Lyon, felt the eagle, the Union, it needed a redo. So he did the redo himself, sketching out an idea with a ram atop a shield of mountains and a river over a banner with what looks like the word for ointment, but is actually Latin for hello, Solway. That seal morphed into something with an antlered animal, so no more ram, but the hello remained. Lyon's layout was accepted by the territorial legislature on January 11th, 1866. But Lyon's legacy was about as sketchy as his sketch. In 1847, he was apparently appointed as a consul to Shanghai, which he skipped, and instead ended up in California, where he took credit for designing their state seal in 1849, which he didn't do. He followed that with a stint in the New York State Assembly, the U.S. Congress, and somehow managed to earn President Lincoln's appointment as Idaho's second territorial governor in 1864. Idaho's capital city moving from Lewiston to Boise? You can blame Lyon for that. A year later, after failing to find diamonds and supposedly stealing more than $40,000 meant for the Nez Perce tribe, Lyon left, saying goodbye or walye to Idaho instead of Solway.